Welcome to the Velkyn Weave, where a bunch of us nerdy artists, analysts, engineers, writers, nurses, and performers get together and play Dungeons and Dragons. So glad your adventurers are joining us tonight. If this is your first time watching the Games Tavern, welcome. Please follow the Games Tavern on Twitch. It's free and supports the show, the cast, and the crew. Remember, you can watch us live on Twitch, and all shows are uploaded to YouTube, typically 48 hours later, so you can catch up on all the shows you may have missed. We'll get rolling shortly, but first, some announcements.
Remember, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you also get a free Prime Gaming subscription, which you can use to show your support to the show, cast, and crew. Prime Gaming subscribers get access to sub-only emotes and to special subscriber-only channel on the TGT Discord. Check it out.
And tonight, make sure to cheer on your favorite character when they do something awesome, like lure a bunch of unsuspecting monks into certain doom. Your bits cheers show your support for the characters that we love, and we love you, friends, for your support. Your subs show support the Games Tavern production quality upgrades and make better shows for you. The Tavern upgrades goal is to get a new microphone for Michelle.
Why are you guys picking on me? Also, too soon, Tom. Too soon.
I know. I'm sorry.
He's never been one to wait.
All right. Let's get on with the show. So when last we left the Velkyn Weave, they were trekking to Brindol. They had come face to face with a mysterious death squad in the Thornwaste. They were, in fact, marked for death by Worm Lord Karn, leader of all lieutenants of Azar Kul. And they faced a host of supernatural threats, from Bodox to dangerous and wily blood ghost berserker bugbears. They faced wyvern riders. And even more so, they were joined by some former friends to aid them in their defense. Both Blanche Lafayette, the apprentice of a certain ghost princess that may or may not be en route to the battle, which will soon come, and Fegalos, the Flying Disaster, one of the legendary dragons of Faerun, an ally and a friend of the Velkyn Weave. Now, as always, we like to start the Velkyn Weave with a chance for the players to earn a little inspiration. So this week, we have 2 monologue prompts. It's what I hope to find in Brindol and what I dream about. And there may be some Game Master, Dungeon Master interaction tonight as we go through these monologue prompts as well, because eventually your dreams and sometimes your nightmares catch up with you. So why don't we go Quentin, Bope, Rinian, Doliris, and Eldon. So
I'm hoping in Brindle to find a little taste of civilization, because it's been just thorn wastes and trees. And I want a little bit of paperwork. I want an innkeep that I can lie to, a little criminal mischief. But what makes the day go by? And that's what I'm looking for in Brindle. But what I dream about, I used to dream nice, peaceful dreams until I found the little trinket cap of peaceful dreams I was given by my family was cursed. So now I dream about revenge, about blue dragons lately. A lot of dreams about blue dragons ever since I put this mask on.
Quentin, you find yourself consciously in what appears to be an infinite void. There is a cold mist in the air. After that, 5 sets of eyes, roughly the size of a large castle window each, appear before you. You hear a voice speaking in your head, but it's in a dead tongue, an ancient tongue, a tongue that only you would understand and I dare not utter in front of the other party members. The voices in unison say, "You have what is mine, and I will find you and take it from you." As you feel your heart nearly stop, all sets of eyes form to a single set. The deadly gaze of the Bodok that dropped you from the living before you were saved and rescued by the party members. And you find yourself awake, or out of trance.
Oh.
Now I know what killed you. Now,
Oh dear.
oh,
What is in
Whoa.
store? Well, what I hope to find in Brindle is some peace and quiet. That's what. We've been humping and bumping all over the place. I haven't had a chance to sit down and have a good read. And boy, did I find a whopperdinger in that Lich's Tavern. So I'm hoping to find a place I can read and connect with myself and whatever this voice is coming from the book. I don't know. And hopefully find some of the keys to my goals. And then what do I dream about? Well, I mean, when I have my druthers and not having nightmares of the past, I dream about a more peaceful time, sitting in a hemp spun hammock of large leaves with my wife when she was alive, watching the sunset. Good days, remembering the good days.
Bope, your unconscious mind is spirited away. You are high in the branches of a tree that seems to wrap itself around the world, metaphorically, and you can see Toril, almost the size of a marble, far below. You see the stars, they're infinite in numbers. Many of them, you know their names, these far-off places. However, your thoughts travel through the branches of the tree, much like a squirrel traveling through it. You are taken to a collection of cages, a gray area found tangled in the branches. Within one of these cages is a familiar visage. You see the eyes of the ghost princess, trapped, kept, held against her will. She speaks a single word before you find yourself awake. Help. And then you are brought back.
Oh dear.
Hey, coming to Brindle, I'm expecting to find legions, armies, organized resistance, hopefully someone that has stepped up to lead this ragtag, motley combination of an army against that which comes before it. My hopes aren't great, but that's at least what I hope to find. What do I dream about? Well, that's easy. Walking through the shadowed forest, under the boughs with the wind whistling through the trees, under a silent guardianship. But that's not this time.
Oh, Rinian, you find yourself walking among green grass. There is a warm, dry breeze moving through the air. You are cooled, though, by the shade of massive sycamore trees. Amongst them, a face begins to form. You recognize it to be the force you serve, and you are taken into the arms of your god. and a voice speaks to you. It praises you for your defense of the Star Elves and declares a need for a champion to still rise among them, be it elf or not. And it implores you to defend your wizard companion and to keep the book in his possession and no others at all costs, lest you all fall prey to a larger scheme. For the hordes of Azar-Kul are seeking that relic, and a time will come for your group to destroy it. However, you will be directed to the proper place and the proper time.
Of course.
Delirus.
So what I am hoping to find in Brindle is enough defenders to handily dispatch the invaders with no great loss of life. As for what I dream about, a moonlit rooftop, cool night air, racing heartbeat, and the stricken face of the boy I've just pushed off the roof.
Delirus, your mind travels and finds itself in a familiar hall. You're in a room dimly lit by the sun's rays as they stream in through many open windows. You can see the dust motes floating through the stale summer air. And you hear the sound of a bustling city. You are in the setting of an orphanage, one that you are deeply familiar with. And you hear the laughter of the children that you have served and have protected for many years. You hear a voice speak your name, Delirus. Do you turn around?
Yes?
You see before you a woman garbed in a sort of melon-colored dress. She wears an ornate headpiece, and her hair is pulled back long. Though you may, not to mine as a dungeon master's knowledge, I know not if you have seen your god, but she stands before you now, the goddess of luck, Timoris. You can see she spirits your eyes so you can see the success that your followers have had, Deet and Tobias. And she praises you for the work that you have done to alleviate people in Drellin's Ferry and to take care of you. She speaks that she is in fact proud of you, and she's proud of the servants and disciples that you have gathered. But she has a special task for you. And then she thinks about it, and she flips a coin in her finger. She catches it in the palm of her hand, and she looks at it. I need you to roll a D2 for me, or flip a coin for me, and tell me what it comes up as.
1.
All right, 1. So that is an odd number, if I know my math correctly. Apologies. She challenges you and commissions you, ordains you to be the peacemaker of the party. And that there will be a need to safeguard an artifact of evil that must be destroyed by the hands of good. In time, she will make the route known to you through your friend, and she conjures an image of Eldon. He will be the guide to take you to the place to destroy the book. So you must protect Eldon, and you must make sure the book stays under the Velkyn Weave's possession, for there will be many forces that will seek to hunt it down in the days to come. And with that, she pronounces a blessing upon you. You now will crit against hobgoblins and dragonkind on a roll of 19 or 20. So you kind of get, it's a temporary blessing, but it'll last for at least a 10-day. So it's a charm.
Wow.
Lastly, Eldon.
And I just hope we find all those poor folks made it here. I hope they all made it to Brindle alive. I don't want to find a city on fire. I hope we made it in time. I hope they didn't pick up the pace. There's a lot I'm hoping to see. A lot I'm hoping to not see when we get there. Yeah. Hope everyone's all right so far and ready for what's to come. When I dream, which comes no surprise to most folks, I dream about the hill country. I think back to the hills. I dream about the ranch, wandering along the fence line, looking after the animals. Dream about sitting under the porch, having a beer at the end of the day. When I have good dreams, I dream about that. When I have bad dreams, I dream about that too. Mighty different then.
In your dream, Eldon, as you drink from your mug and you pull it down, you no longer see the green hills before you, but you see sandy dunes. Sand so hot, it occasionally catches fire. Your eyes travel through the waste, over dune, carried by the wind itself. And with that, you are taken to a very large structure made out of stone. On this stone, there is a single black door, barely the size for yourself or Bope to fit through. But you see, engraved on the door, clear as day, the face of a devil. It flashes green, and then you find yourself awake. And with that, the Velkyn Weave is all awake from their slumber or their trances. They all have inspiration. One of you has a blessing, and a way forward.
Is Eldon Frodo?
No, in this analogy, you're Frodo.
Oh boy! But
Yeah.
I'm
In this
more like
analogy,
Bilbo.
Tom Bombadil.
I was gonna say Smeagol, but yeah, that works too.
Too many fingers, but we can work on
Hey,
it.
Renyon, your patron said to protect me, so
You don't know that.
Never let him know.
I know. Don't.
It's all an accident. So the Velkyn Weave has been traveling for a long time, and finds themselves several days from Brindol. Have you decided to travel in the company of dwarves or travel alone?
I mean, the dwarves that we
Yeah.
saved last session. There would be no reason not to travel with them if we are all going
Yeah.
to the same area.
Unless their rate was extremely slow.
Yeah.
They are moving at a different pace than you. They are less interested in dallying in the city. Also, their short legs don't go very quickly. However, you could travel with them. And you arrive after several days. You all have the benefits of any rest that you would need. And you are in front of the large gates of Brindol. You can see this is a very impressive city. Far bigger than any place you've been in recent time. It not quite as big as Baldur's Gate, but there is a significant presence here. Likewise, there is a large military force in the front of the gates. They see you approaching, as well as the dwarves. It appears as if someone is on the lookout for you, and a familiar face comes riding up on a familiar-looking steed. Velociraptor, with Captain Serana, the leader of Drillin Ferry's guard, comes up, and Velociraptor kind of bucks her off and kind of sidles up to Rinya, and he's like, hey, you made it! Finally! They've been looking for you everywhere.
Good to see you. And you.
Yeah, she's kind of getting up. She's a little dizzy, and like Blanche is snickering as she stumbles to get up. Captain Serrano says, the stories of the Velkyn Weave have traveled far and wide. And of the Nimbus, she says, motioning to Quentin.
Nod right back.
Yeah. And so Brindle seems it's different than everything else that you've seen on your travels here. You know, most of the countryside looks as if it is war-torn. A lot of it's been burned down. There have been dark skies and heavy smoke with the silhouettes of dragonkind flying. But you stand before the city with its 20-foot high walls in soldiers. They are clad in blue and gold armor for the most part. It has been a long time since you've seen this many individuals that are not part of the Red Hand mustered together as a force. And you are greeted. She says, no.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, is that a sense of pride I feel welling up the sight of it?
Yeah, I think so. Like, this is sort of the best of all humanoids, all humanity, elves, dwarves, humans, halflings, gnomes, etc. This is one of the great monuments of civilization, particularly this far in the south. Quentin, give me an investigation check. I'm calling you out because I think you'd be the first person to be suspicious just knowing your manner.
Certainly. Investigation? That is a 22.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was thinking of doing is launching my flock of familiars and having the sprites kind of fly over the city to give me a bird's eye view as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's one of those things. Familiar goes over, and you see, city looks pretty emptied out, outside of military personnel walking around. Your instinct says it may have been someone called for an evacuation, knowing that an army was on their way here. And they may have sent them further north to, you've seen the map, you would know there's a location like Drinor to the north, and that most of the civilians have gone up there. However, your familiar does see that there are militias that have been organized out of strong fighting people, men, women, and all individuals that feel ready for combat. And Serana says, Lord Jarmath wanted me to introduce you to him and the other lords and ladies of the court when given the opportunity. Should we go rush to him now, or do you want to take a look around Brindle first?
Perhaps an opportunity to dust the road, or clean ourselves of the road dust, yes?
Yes.
Captain Serana, where are the civilians at? The city seems pretty emptied out.
It was hard to convince him to because he is stubborn and proud. But we weren't the first refugees to arrive in his city. Later, those from Tarleton in Nyman's Gap came forward. Before long, he had hundreds of refugees in his streets. And before the Red Hand could fall upon these gates, he made the decision that they should head north to Drenor. This is a decent-sized city, but if Brindle falls, we fear what fate will befall it.
Smart.
Well, all of us, or none of us are as smart as all of us, she says, implying that it took many minds to come together to convince that. Do you have any questions for the group that you want to give to Captain Serrano? You haven't seen her in a while.
Any word on Vrothkeep? Does it still stand?
We believe it still stands, but the feeling we got is it is overrun with goblinoids once again. Though our feeling is their worm lord has asked them to abandon it and march on Brindol proper.
How
Much
many?
keeping them there anymore.
They sent word for rest, but no one came. Apparently it had been wiped out.
Uh-huh.
Something like that.
We dealt with it.
It's under new management.
Ah,
We heard that there were eyes in the swamp watching from the waters.
yep. Clever eyes.
Onward to Lord Jarmoth then?
Right.
Is Blanche with us?
Yeah, she's with you. Kind of looking around like, since there's no people here, who's going to serve the wine? If no people are here, are we going to have to make our own beds in the inn?
Oh, honey.
Well, if she's walking alongside, I'll sidle up next to her. I'm not trying to hide this. Anybody else can hear this too. But I'll be like, Blanche, any word from the Ghost Princess recently?
She just about places her hand on the scruff of your neck and casts Chill Touch right above your flesh so you don't take any damage. She goes, I tried reaching out to her. She wasn't accepting any calls, if you catch my drift.
Oh.
Well, I had a premonition during our travels. I'm a little worried. She seemed to be in trouble. She was it was some great world tree, and in the gray boughs there was cages, and she was within one of them, and she just said help before I woke up. It was
Cages.
very, very specific. Is it possible that she didn't receive your message because she's not on this plane? Or that she's being held against her will in some prison?
Blanche snaps her fingers and her broom appears beside her. She says, do you mind if I look into this for a little bit?
I would feel better if you did.
All right. She
did
sits
us
on the broom side saddle and starts rising up the castle. She drops in carrot for Mr. Peppers.
Oh, thank you. Here you go.
Kind of waves. So Blanche takes off for a bit. She's going to go work on trying to figure out why she hasn't gotten in contact with the Ghost Princess or where she might be held.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is the broom's name Bristle?
If not, it is now.
Well done.
It so hurts.
Oh, did I hear you say something about a dream?
Oh, yes. I've had some disturbing ones, but that one was so vivid.
I had one of those myself last night as well.
Ooh, do tell.
5 sets of eyes, gigantic eyes, like the size of a castle window, staring into my soul. And they were kind of pissed about the mask. They said they were coming for it.
5. It's a very specific number.
Yeah.
Oh, right. The mask, yes.
Yes.
That could be problematic.
Well, I mean, if there's a blue one, there's a red, white, green, and black one.
So you're less worried about the creator coming to take that one, and you're more thinking you'll just collect them all.
Well, no. Well, sure, but
so is that an option?
got to catch them all first.
I knew that
Yes.
was coming.
Yeah, not so much. Well, I have no idea who created it, but Tiamat's dead, right?
I don't know. Is
Not until you see the body.
It's true.
Why would we think that Tiamat is dead?
Because she's not.
Oh, go ahead, Quentin.
Because she's not here devouring our souls, walking around the mortal plane, you know?
Doesn't mean that she's dead. Really not on this plane, perhaps.
Maybe she has bigger fish to fry than us right now.
Really think she's a pescatarian?
Yes.
You know, those worm lords keep pescatarian cookbooks as opposed to the wizards that have the vegan cookbooks. But you can
More
tell
you know.
what type of spellcaster you are.
I love it.
Paladins are on keto. Sarvith crawls, turns himself around. And
Shit, what do we do with this guy?
Yeah, he just kind of whispers to Rinian. He goes, "She is not dead. There is one who has seen her."
On this plane?
He is on this plane. He attempts to bring her back.
No, well, yeah.
Brindol must fall in order for him to achieve that. And even if it doesn't, there's a chance that he will unlock the gates. My thought is all of this might have been a feint. He has other plans than the destruction of the South. Difficult to see. He's clever.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Another fear that I have as well. We did not find the slinker in the Lich Ghost Lord's lair. There is one that doesn't even kneel to Azar Kul that walks among the goblins.
I'm sorry, you're just mentioning this now? We're like 20 days away from that.
I wasn't talking to you, and he goes back in the pack, flips it shut.
All right, I'm getting the worst fake mustache out in an eye patch, and that's his disguise that he's wearing here, in case anybody's run into him before.
A name. They call me Long John Silver. That's Long John Silver. Long John Sarvith. There we go.
There
Your
we go.
name's Sharky.
Sharky.
I don't think anyone's run into him here.
No, he's whispering, and he says a lot of what he has is just hearsay, but he listens to the doom callers and the mind benders, and he has heard tales. He was sent to rest, but the fact that we were even able to breed those green spawn razor fiends,
Yep, that's
those
why.
would only come from Tiamat.
That's why I was like, she's definitely not dead. She's just not here on this plane. But
I'll have to meditate on this more.
that would be the most logical next step, right? You breed her spawn, and then eventually you bring her here. So I could see that being part of the plan, yes. Just having a conversation over here, it's fine.
Sarvith from within the backpack, he's like, speaks loudly, but he's coming through muffled through the fabric.
Excellent points, Rinian.
No, excellent observations, Sarvith.
Thank you.
Great minds, great minds.
You may have
Where
a
we-
second ration today.
Please let it be a good berry.
Oh, I've got one of those. I hold up a little pellet.
Little rabbit pellet.
No.
Oh,
No.
Oh, bad berry.
What are we gonna do with Sarvith? Like, we can't just leave him strapped to Renyon for the rest of his life, can we?
Yes.
Is he missing both legs or just one leg?
Just one. But the other he ties around Rinion's waist like a belt.
Yeah, I was like, I think it might be better to just take both. It'd be easier to stick them in the pack.
How do you
Go.
feel?
He's
How
gonna
do you
go
feel
full
about
Master
symmetry?
Blaster.
The symmetry.
Yeah.
That's
Only
part of the
makes
lawful alignment, right? You know, it has to be in order.
Who's lawful?
Look,
Yeah,
Sarvith,
which-
if you had both legs missing, you'd be able to earn double the amount of coin begging for a day.
Listen, there's going to be a side quest, New Legs for Sarvith, where you find an artificer, get him some Warforged legs, some big old thick cams. He's
No,
Thick with
No.
Reese's.
no. They have
Yeah,
to be
triple
they have
C.
they have to be digit.
Digigrade?
Digitigrade.
Yeah.
Didgeridoo?
Don't know
Seems
what
like-
he was trying to say.
Anything else you want to play out before you head? There are a lot of places in town. If we could pull up Scene Setter 2, there's a lot of locations here. Not every place is abandoned. But if you have something you're looking for, you might search it. If not, you can go straight to the Lords. And you have time. You have at least 10 days before the Horde gets here.
Okay.
I
we
think
got
we
time.
can see them today. It's
Yeah.
just I would want to get cleaned up. It has been how many days since we
A long time.
played?
Thorn wastes, man.
It's been a good long while. In fact, you could almost say it's been almost 3 weeks.
Been a while.
Like it's been about 20
Yeah,
days.
so you know, Bope's pretty rank over there.
Oh, Bope's rank. Okay.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
gonna be, huh?
Oh, no,
Bope's
that's just-
rank.
It's the
That's-
book.
I was like, that's just the smell of undeath.
It's a smell
Uh-huh.
of pure evil that he's carrying around.
Yeah, how? I mean, at some point, I don't know what the math is, but you know, I need to spend a certain amount of time reading this book.
You're close to the quota,
Okay.
and some things are going to go down.
Okay. And you know, at some point, I do want to pull Quentin aside. Maybe after our meeting the leader here. We have business to attend to, but Quentin, I'd love to bend your ear for a moment. Such an interesting dream you had.
I know. I haven't really had any dreams since that incident with my sleeping cap a couple months back.
Yeah, I would have thought that you'd be more apprehensive of dreams.
Well, I mean, I try not to dream, just a light trance if possible. But
We're asleep. It was a vision.
well, vision, dream, call it what you will. It was quite active and seemed quite real. And yeah, I think people are definitely after me. And it's not just me being paranoid. But, wearing this mask, you can feel its power. I mean, people want it.
Well, we must have been really special to have received dreams, the two of us.
Maybe. I'm just...
Bope steals a glance at the rest of the party and keeps walking.
Stone-faced.
Sarvith is like, I haven't had any interesting dreams. All mine are filing paperwork. Paperwork.
What club for you, sir?
He's your caddy now. Which sword?
Sarvat, take a note.
Yes,
Ma'am?
I think Sarvith getting a new set of legs and becoming your squire is pretty badass. I think that is a goal. That's, I like that for him.
Pull him at least towards neutral. Hey, I've got the ability to change alignments. Actually, no, I can.
So does Bope, apparently.
Hey!
Only goes one way.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Bope, right about now you need to make a charisma save for me.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Oh, who's...
It's all right. In fact, you need to make one with disadvantage because you have both the bone and the book.
Okay, that's fair.
I would let you spend your inspiration to.
This is going to be a Percy die. Nope. And nope. So, I mean, both of those were less than 10. The lowest
right.
one
I
was
mean, you're next to me.
6.
It's an 8.
Oops. All right. By the end of today, your attunement is complete. But the first stage of that attunement has transpired.
Okay.
Everyone, Bope is now 10 feet tall. No. He's gone from Bope to Bop.
You been eating your Wheaties, huh?
Oh.
No, that was a possibility. And I was like, oh, I hope we get a giant boat. All right. So, if not, you are taken to the Council of the Lords, and you are outside a pair of double doors. You hear a dozen of muted conversations on the other side. As the doors open, everyone falls silent. You are in a great hall. There are a pair of guards at the door. There's a large chamber that sits before you. The floors are polished and smooth. The walls have many alcoves. There are trophies, works of art. The ceiling goes up to nearly 40 feet high. There's a beautiful stained glass window in here on the far wall, on the northern wall. And then there is a single long table in the middle that is covered with books, maps, ledgers, parchment, sketches, drinks, plates of half-eaten food. And there is a group of stressed individuals in here that seem to be just at their wits' end dealing with it. There is a man who stands tall. He's over 6 feet. He is wearing an elaborate, ornate ceremonial outfit, and upon his head sits a crown of silver. Beside him is a lady with striking red hair. She's perhaps... on the scale of beauties that you have seen in your life, she's probably near the top of the list. She seems like she's bored out of her mind listening to all the chatter, not because the topic is boring, but because the conversationalists are less educated than she. There is a wizard wearing red robes. You know, he's a wizard because of the hat. He's not a red wizard from Thay, though.
Okay.
Right. I had to throw that out, but you can see he's got, a blue cap on, and he has a staff with a giant golden moon on the end of it. Looks like something he probably made himself, and he has a bunch of cool rings on. They are filled with precious stones.
Bling.
And when he talks, you can see he has a platinum grill, and it says Emmerstal across it. That is Emmerstal the Red. He is the High Wizard of Brindol. There is another woman there. She is wearing pale blue robes, and she seems to be emotionally distant from the group, as if she is heavily burdened by this. The next individual sitting, he's sitting around the table, and he's kind of doing that man spread with his legs. He's got a bit of a paunch on him, and he seems to be shaking, a chicken bone at the group as he's offering advice. But he is wearing the same armor that you saw of the guards, of blue and gold. But he has a sword with a red hilt on it. And it looks like several medals of commendation that it looks like honors that he has. He has epaulets on, and he's got them pauldrons. He's
Epaulets are fancy.
pauldrons. They'll help his healing. Just a regular Leroy Jenkins over there. So that is clearly the captain of the armed forces here. And then there is a familiar face you see, and she is sitting beside her pet alligator. It's Celeria Starsinger of the Starsinger Elves. She looks very confused because she's like, I haven't been around this many people in a long time that weren't elves. They don't seem to make a lot of sense. They do a lot of talking and eating, not a lot of meditation. And you walk right in on them. And there's a few other people you see there. Like there was Speaker Winston from Drellin's Ferry from way back in the day. He's there. And Captain Serrana is also invited in. The man in the silver crown looks over the group and sort of sees you. He's like, more guests. This is the legendary group of heroes known as the Velkyn Weave.
The ones and only.
Come in, eat. Let me get a look at you. Your exploits precede you by large and far and wide, and tell us of any encounters you have had with the Red Hand. I mean, the stories are stories, but to hear it from yourselves.
Well, there was one time we took down a bridge with a spider, and the dragon ran away. That was a pretty good story.
You tell it just like that?
Bope's such a good storyteller.
He is. It's like, and this is the guy with the man spread. It's just like, I like a wizard that tells it to us straight, no incantations, no curios, no riddles, no circular plots. In fact, the heroes won, and the dragon didn't. 4 stars. Make a persuasion check.
Oh,
Why not
okay.
5 stars?
He goes, inflation hasn't hit these parts yet.
14. Not the most.
14's
persuasive.
pretty good. So, Captain Lars Olverth likes Bope and may be willing to listen to Bope if Bope makes points here at the council table. And this is kind of a mini game. There's a lot of personalities there. They have conflicting interests.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want to go one way or the other. Some of the people in here own land. Some of them own property. Some of them might be secret lovers. There's a lot of intrigue going on at this table that is unseen. And I tell you, it's the wizard with the bling and manspread. I can't call Captain Lars manspread. That's,
Why not?
he is what he is. He's just
Captain
like
Manspread. How about we meet halfway?
Captain Manspread. All right. Let's what else has become of the group?
Well, I guess you should know we're of late. Most recently, we were in the Thorn Waste. I don't know if you had heard, but the Red Hand had blackmailed the Ghost Lord into joining their forces.
The lady with the red hair and the piercing green eyes looks forward and she says, "Did you see him? Did you see the Ghost Lord himself?"
Yeah, that we did. We took care of that bargain. We took care of that whole blackmail situation. He won't be joining the Red Hand. In fact, he's mighty pissed about it, in fact. I imagine he may still make an appearance, but not for the Red Hand.
She speaks, she says, "Blackmail is a horrible business, but it does have its uses," and her eyes kind of, you sense that they dart from you to the other woman who's in the room, then back to you. Make a persuasion check or a performance check.
They're both +0.
That's fine. Roll straight. This is just kind of to see how they are initially positioned to you.
That's a 9.
Emerstall the wizard says, "Blackmail's horrible, and you should never speak someone who's had to come eyes to eyes with a lich and force them to tell the tales. You want to see how a lich looks? You go see him yourself." And he kind of points his golden moon at her. She just kind of sourly sticks her tongue out at him, then goes back in. And then he looks at Dolores and goes, "We used to date." She's like, "We did not." And then he's like, she denies it. It was a beautiful summer.
Stone-faced.
So, were there any other exploits of the Weave, or is that all?
No, sure. There was a infestation to the north of a foul brood of Tiamat that we helped extinguish at least the current iteration and took away their ability to create more for the time being.
And Celerius Starsinger stands up and explains that these brave individuals saved our lands. They participated in our funeral rites for our fallen, and they installed just sovereigns in the lands of the north. Righteous rulers, if you will.
Just
Devout to Timora.
if inexperienced.
in which we flipped an entire organization from one side to our own. Again, gaining us yet more strength.
Make a persuasion or performance check with Rinian.
That is a 19.
The dark-haired woman in the pale blue robes on the other side, the one that seemed emotionally distant, seems to be brought into the conversation, and she's like, they seem to be missionaries of sorts, spreading faiths and belief systems while leaving individuals to choose for themselves if they wish to follow or not, and have removed unjust dictators and vanquished the vile spawn of Tiamat. They should be trusted in these conversations.
Tuck away my symbol of Tiamat. Deeper
Just
into the
gonna
robes.
obscure that.
Sleight of hand.
But my next, it's just a tea statue.
It's a war trophy, obviously.
Of course.
I recount the many times we've battled with the hobgoblins and how they actually have a very innate, sense of honor. They keep their word, and I recount the first one at Vrath Keep who, fought and tried to keep Uncle Jorah's dog alive, I think, something like that, and all the way up until the Doomfist monks and how they fought bravely at the Battle of Three Bridges, and every now and then I drop a little native goblin into it, the correct pronunciation, and really play up the fact that they can be turned, and they keep their word, and they're fierce fighters.
And I think at the climax of your story, right as everyone is on the edge of their seats, and they're just captivated, leaning forward, Sarvith emerges from the pack and says, "If I can change, anyone can change." Take a persuasion check with advantage. I thought it'd be a nice little Jack in the Box.
Will do.
Boing.
I mean,
15. 15.
Your valiant stories and tells, both the captain and the lord seem to hearken to Quentin. They go, these individuals have an eye for military operations, and they know how to treat both officers and infantry alike with respect. These are true warriors, and whatever they say, we'll take it into account. And that's when the Lord, Jarmeth, lets out a deep sigh. He goes, "Perhaps the Velkyn Weave can help us solve the current conundrum." And he points at the table. And he goes, "Gather in, everyone." And on the map, he has a map of Brindol and the surrounding fields. He says, "I say, we take our lion guard, our lion army, and we ride out into the fields and cut right through the heart of the Red Hand. Surely they will be terrified of our ferocity on the fields of battle." Quentin's already shaking his head. And he can kind of see this, and he's like, "Maybe I'll win him over." It's like someone who tells a bad joke and keeps saying the punchline. He goes, "And we'll scare them off with the might of our military."
I'm scared now.
Yeah. And then
Yes.
Different reasons.
Olverth, Captain Manspread, speaks up. He goes, "We should fight from within the walls." And we should fight from within the walls. That's why we built them. Why build the walls if you're not going to fight from them?
what about perhaps using both advantages? You have a force that is, I assume, excellent on the attack, and you have a force that can utilize these walls for excellent defense. You could leave the the Lion Force in a flanking position, allow the city to be approached, and then hit while they are distracted.
Yeah.
But you must remember, this force is not coming with just kobolds. They have
Dragons.
terrible beasts that will shake the core, and they are driven by a Sarvith, correct me if I'm wrong, a religious fervor, perhaps.
Perhaps. And then he slinks back into the bag. Yeah, just his lips and his nose come up. Perhaps. Yeah, and he oh gosh. You ever see the Muppet movie with the French fried frog legs bucket and like the frog legs are just hanging out? I imagine his one leg would have been hanging out, but that's why it got hacked off. It's just an accident. Yeah, so Sarvith, they nod and they go, it might be difficult to achieve the flanking position. How many are their number? We've heard tales. Serana's like 15,000. Our numbers are about 8. Just us in this room. I'm kidding. 8,000.
Yep, 15,000 is about what we've discerned. It's been cut dramatically here and there. It's probably not 15,000 strong any longer.
But
did those initial numbers include the Ghost Lord's army?
No.
No? Okay.
and they have at least 3 dragons.
And
Please.
powerful casters.
And 2 airships.
Airship?
They have an air superiority that we lack entirely for the time being.
You may not
What
be
about
safe.
the girl on the broom? And Blanche Lafayette flies in through, her silhouette goes past the stained glass window.
Just she is but one against
2 airships.
2 airships and a small flock of large adult dragons.
Captain Serana says, she doesn't always answer when you call.
No, she does
Get some
not.
looks.
She does not.
We could take out one of the airships.
Really been wanting to
Try.
take out one of the airships.
So, Lars, Captain Manspread, essentially says, so let us put it to a vote. Whether we favor the walls or the field. We either split our forces or we commit to a force. Celeria says, there's no way I'm sending my elves into open combat. And Lady Call, the red-haired woman, says, nor would I send my army. She does have her own private army, which can be persuaded to be placed in different ways. However, for the purpose of a binary, which way is the Velkyn Weave favoring? Fighting from the walls and defending the city, or going out into open combat versus the Red Hand? If you had to favor one. And you could still say that we implemented Rinian's strategy of having like a small tactical force deal with them. But if you were to favor one over the other.
I will say, and it is the fallacy of all forces that defend a static position. What are you holding out for? When you are defending, you are not going to be able to bleed them or defeat them. The only way to take the field is for them to beat themselves, unless there is another force that is coming to relieve you. At the same time, given our size and strength, we cannot face this force in a straight-up fight.
Captain Manspread says this. He goes, I assume after we hold them off, they send their heavy hitters, their leaders. And with the Velkyn Weave here, y'all have an excellent record at taking their heads. I suppose they send a champion, and we have heard of a champion among the Weave that has dropped the Black Knight twice.
It's true, and in fact, we have a member of the Velkyn Weave that drops whales upon our enemies.
Seen a whale?
We also have a member of the Velkyn Weave that could probably be aware. Right?
So that's the reason they said they would stay. They have a feeling that you might draw in some of their leadership or their heavy hitters and be able to defeat them. If you go out into the field, they might be harder to find.
It's also quite accurate.
Favor defense with an asterisk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say,
So- Go ahead.
are there any devil or demon worshippers in the city that were out of favor during times of peace, but may have an ace up their sleeve now?
They all point at both. No, sorry. No,
That guy.
yeah, they point to Sarvith. Hey. They're not able to answer that question right off. They said that most of the people have left. And then Tredora, the dark-haired woman in the pale blue robes, says, if there were demon or devil worshippers here, they were unknown to us. Most of the good folks here either worship Palor or Weejas. And but you're going to have to convince at least 3 members of the council to side with Captain Manspread of that group. And then I'll let you finish your thought, Quentin. You have Lady Call with the red hair, Tredora, who got the dirty glance from her, Immerstall the Red, Celeria, the elf lady, and she's almost like a lock. So you just have to convince 2 of them. We'll say she actually sides with the captain. So you have to convince Lady Call, Immerstall, or Tredora.
Point of order.
Yes.
Captain Manspread, he's the one who says hide behind the walls, right?
Not
use
hide,
the walls.
fight from them.
He's the one who's saying use the walls.
I'm no coward. I wouldn't hide. I'd fight bravely from behind an invisible position. Maybe even run away tactically if I had to, but I would never hide like a coward, a frightened dog.
Okay. The 2 dissenting women, weren't they the ones who said, I'm not going to send my army out in the field? So
the 2 women, you haven't quite pegged down what Tredora does, but Lady Call does have an army.
Mhm.
Oh, and Celeria said she wouldn't. And Lady Call could probably be easily convinced to vote on your side. It's just a persuasion check.
Mm-hmm.
Or she could be persuaded to go the other way. It's a lot harder, though.
I think given that our numbers are much smaller than the enemies, we almost cannot afford to send our forces outside the walls. They would only get slaughtered.
We can use the defense to our advantage. We know that force is coming here. We can prepare for that. You can set contingencies. You can set traps. You can scout ahead. You can prepare the field. They've chosen the field of battle, but they weren't here first.
So, right
What
at
do you
that
do
point,
that?
King Longshank speaks and says, "Send the dwarves. The dead cost nothing." No, sorry, I had to throw a Braveheart reference.
I understood that reference.
I'm sorry. The mercenary dwarves. Sorry, Longshanks isn't there. That'd be great. So tell me, Longshanks needs to be in the next adventure arc. Special guest. But yeah. So no, they listen. They listen to you. So if you make a persuasion check, Lady Call will side with you, but it's a DC 12.
Okay. 14.
She explains that she sides with Ulverth and Celeria. So you need one more person on the council to side. So you have the Red Wizard. He's not a red wizard. He's the wizard in the red robes.
The wizard who
Crimson
happens to
Mage.
be red.
Crimson Mage.
What is his position?
He goes, well, it's a long story. I'll make it short. I happened to own a store here, Red Magic and Sundries, and
Obviously.
yes, and in fact, sensible prices during times of war. We'll
Got that.
negotiate. And then and just so you know, like mechanically, he does have. There's going to come a point in this adventure, and this ties back to Quentin's original request, where we get to loot his store up to 3,000 gold worth of magic items. Just we'll look at the price and check it out.
Spoilers.
We'll get there, unless you get thrown out of the council. Yes. So
It's not over yet.
But he's like, I'm a friend of the court, an advisor, if you will, a bosom companion, and he elbows the lord. He's like, cool friend. And you can tell they're actually about the same age, but the forbidden magics that this wizard has cast has aged him rapidly. He's like,
Bo,
back a few
Is
years.
that what the deal with Pope is? Like,
are you even 400 years old?
You don't know.
Do they have matching
Oh, I
tattoos?
do.
But Emerstal's is all faded and wrinkly.
Oh.
Yeah, they do, but yeah, they were friends, and they are roughly the same age. So, Emerstal does own a wizard's seclusium essentially here in town, which is where he practices. He's an alchemist, and
So you said a whole lot of words, but not what he.
I think that was by design.
Yep, I think that's what Emerstal would say.
I mean,
this and that.
I am critical to the defense. There's going to come a time where I will cast, and Lord Jarmuth goes, save it for later in the meeting. He goes, I'm going to cast a spell.
Ooh,
And
Me too.
Yeah,
Ooh,
so
we
am I,
can't
but
say
I'm not building up anticipation for no reason.
Just the one? You got
But we want to solve things procedurally. If we skip around to and fro.
Sir Emerstal the Red, I've never heard a more a clear-cut argument from somebody's mouth as your own for staying inside the walls and defending from within. Genius.
I
I
said
applaud
that.
you.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Hey, really
Make a
did.
persuasion check.
That's truly a practical and talented man.
That is a 9. That is a 9.
Laying it on a bit thick.
He
Inspiration?
leans in, though. Well, you actually have some conditional modifiers. Conditional modifiers are a part of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that rarely come into play. Cover is an example of a conditional modifier. You earned conditional modifiers with your Tales of the Velkyn Weave on each of the individuals, and he was one person that was impressed. So he says, yeah, I think we should fight from within the walls, I think, but I also think bright and shiny, that's what he refers to Renian as, essentially being a paladin. He's like, I think the bright and shiny made a good point. So maybe we have some of them strong dwarves, some of those sly elves, and maybe some other cutthroat troops help us out. And we also need to think broader than simply holding out. Walls it is, and he is convinced. So at this point, they agree that the majority of the forces will focus on defending from the safety of the walls and trying to repel the Red Hand from there, rather than ride out into the open fields and meet them.
I know a thing or two about height advantage and disadvantage, and I just think it's the best way to go.
Is there any choke points of thick forests, anything like that the opposing army will have to march through, or have their supply train be constricted by?
Flammable.
Unfortunately, wide open fields because it's Brindle.
Most of them.
Darn! If
Have
only
they,
we lived in Tarleton.
have they been harvested? Are they flammable?
They will be burned. If they haven't been burned yet, they will be burned.
Perhaps wait until they're amongst them.
So, Jarmuth says, fine. We'll save my little horsies, my lion guard, and we'll fight from our defenses. But what if the defenses fail?
Lord Jarmuth,
So-
how many are in your lion guard, might I ask?
About 8,000.
Oh, the whole guard is what he wants to drive at him. Okay,
Yes,
I thought he was talking
yes.
about like a special contingent. Okay.
No, he wanted to send out the bulk of the army and just meet them in the field. There's like, what do we do if the city falls? What do we do if they get past those walls? What do we do if they are coming in? Thoughts, Velkyn Weave?
Well, you'll be dead, so there's nothing to really think about then.
No.
You will succeed. There's no failure. It's not an option.
We make them pay for every inch.
Pay for every inch. This is when Captain Manspread said, I'd very much like her silky boys to offer healing. And he points to Tredora with the dark hair and the pale blue robes. She kind of gives a scowl.
Oh,
Are you a priestess of some kind, ma'am?
Yes, I'm the High Priestess of Palor. I run the temple here in town. But my priests are not warriors. They're not combatants. They've never seen a blade, let alone had one thrust into their sides.
Well, we're not asking them to fight, merely to support.
If they have the ability to heal, that is an incredible benefit to our side. It could save many a wounded soldier from certain death or severe injury.
But is it so much the physical body that the Red Horde wants, or their souls to dedicate to the Maw of Tiamat? Would it be possible, perhaps, to do some type of pre-claiming of the souls to make sure that they can't dedicate their deaths to Tiamat? Have everybody here, swear fealty to Palor or whatever god?
Excuse you. Oh, right, whatever. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Are not these soldiers going to be in need, and are they not going to be opposing evil? Would it not be in Palor's interest to support them so?
He thinks about it, and you can see that something appears to be holding her back slightly. So there seems to be another tension here.
I'm going to activate my Helm of Telepathy and see what's on her mind
Just
as we're
wondering how long
talking.
that would take.
Shitter.
She wants to keep all of her clerics close to the area where Jarmath is going to be, to defend him in case it comes to it. For they have an open secret relationship.
But we don't know
Yeah.
that 'cause
All
we don't
of
have
them?
telepathy.
Well,
All of them. There's a massive Palor.
I have my sprite familiars land on your shoulders and whisper that in your ears.
It's a pale orgy.
I had to avoid saying that.
Sorry, I couldn't stop myself.
Say before battle, is there any type of ritual that could be invoked to gain Palor's blessing?
They could think about it. They could certainly bless everyone, and they could try to protect your souls, and they could even probably perform a sanctuary ritual as they have on the or that other one. There's one where you can consecrate an area. The temple is consecrated, but you can tell her fear is that her poor beloved won't be aided when the time comes. She might be able to be convinced otherwise, though. She'll have to be persuaded.
So, I mean, it's obvious that her beloved's which one again?
The Lord, isn't
The
it?
Lord with the silver crown, the leader of the outfit.
Ah, yes. Well, it would not be proper for him to always be in the thickest in the front. He would be surrounded by not only ourselves, but
Outing her right now?
no.
That's what I heard.
Fair.
Listen,
Well,
This is when this Lady Call sidles up to Rinian and is like, I like him. And I think you all should listen to this guy.
Can I look at Lady Call and go, so what's your deal?
She is, well,
I'll switch my telepathy
I'm
to
rich, young, and attractive. And then this is when Emerstall's like, she's like 3 years older than me. She does look a lot younger than him, though. I moisturize. No, and she's
nobility.
yeah, she's Lady Verasa Call. She owns a huge amount of land here. The biggest house in all of Brindol belongs to her and her family. She has financed and paid for a private army. And although she is a bit nose in the air, she does love her city. She would one day like to usurp Lord Jarmath, but she says if she's going to do that, she won't do it through foul play. She'll do it through fair play. I motion for elections. Let it be a popularity contest.
How,
sure she's gonna
far,
rig it.
How far would the voting area extend? What if the hobgoblins were to settle down and vote in the next election?
You have a bright future in politics, she says.
All right, listen. The
Or
city
very
stands a much better chance of surviving this battle if the people defending it are in the best possible position they can be in. And,
Survive.
blessings of the various gods are incredibly useful for that.
Are you intimidating her through your fiery devoutness, or are you persuading her
This is definitely
through
persuasion.
logic? Okay.
Yeah. Like, I feel ashamed I even need to state this. It seems obvious.
Make a check
Especially-
with advantage.
To one such as a high
Okay.
priestess.
You're helping her think about the tenets of her faith rather than the...
Okay, that's a nat
Come on,
20.
Twitter.
I don't think I need to roll again. 25.
Oh, yeah. She almost starts weeping, and she's like, the cleric should serve with the troops. I'm sorry, I was selfish. And then she kind of bleats her eyes. This is like Sense and Sensibility, Jane Austen novel. Like, her emotions got the best of her. It's not like overly melodramatic, but it is a little bit. And then like Lord Jarmath's like, well, she really does love Brindle. And then Lady Call kind of looks over at Delirious and says, she should have a future in politics as well. I'd vote for her after a speech like that.
Lady Call, will your husband or sons or daughters be involved in the battle?
While she has rings, she doesn't have any wedding rings. She goes, the only good husband is the dead husband. And
Oh, snap.
yeah, she kind of looks over. She goes, oh, don't worry. He was awful. Wicked man. Built up a fortune, but inherited, and no children.
Noted.
Yeah.
Easy killer.
Yeah, she says, my army will serve with the rest of the Lion Guard, and then we'll fight valiantly and bravely. The next question, though, what do the Velkyn weave? Will they sit back and defend the Lord? Will they position themselves in the town to be active defenders? Curious what they will do. So the council all looks, and like Captain Manspread says, looks, I've just seen like a lot of folks, and I'm a pretty good judge of character. I think they got it. Not to mention Emerstall's been like licking his lips at all their magic items they have, and he's like, I tried not to do it, but it's just, yeah, they got so many goodies.
I think the obvious answer is we shall be where the threat is the greatest. Be it where the Lord is, be it where the wall is, be it in the air, we shall be there.
We shall fight them on top of the walls. We shall fight them in the air.
Thank you, Churchill. We will fight them on the beaches.
I feel like we should be
In the
on
fields.
dragon duty.
I concur.
First
As
and
much as I hate to
foremost,
say
If
it.
there's a dragon on the field, then yes, that's where I will be.
Acid breath. Poison
certainly,
breath.
we need to do a little scouting of our own. We need to take a lay of the land. There's a lot
We
of
need to set
information we
traps.
still have yet to
Yeah.
gain.
Thank you, Delirious.
We
Go
need
ahead,
to
Jeff.
thin the ranks. We need to find out of the army that we have here who is best at infiltration, who can We need to be able to attack their supplies. We need to starve them. We need to annoy them. We need to pester them.
I have
Speaking of-
raises a hand. I shall annoy them. Go ahead, Delirious.
What happened to our friendly giants who were doing just that? Are they here?
Old Workelnaw Council.
About old 12 of them. They would be on their way.
Okay.
Workelnaw and Jor separated from that group because they essentially got kicked out of the forest, right? They fought for as long as they could. Some of the giants returned to the mountains so that they don't go extinct. But there are a few who are slowly trekking to Brindol. And we'll see if there are any giant reinforcements. So this brings up Immerstall's really cool, wait for it, procedural spell. He goes, I am going to be casting Rary's Telepathic Bond. And it needs to be cast on certain individuals. Obviously, we want to cast it on Lord Jarmeth because this is his city that he lords over. And it will be over the leader of the military, homeboy over there, Captain Manspread, and he points at Lars Olverth, the captain. He goes, but we also feel we should cast this telepathic bond on a member of the Velkyn Weave. Who wants to be connected to myself and the Lord? Nose goes.
I would say it should not be me, because half the time I'm going to be an animal that can't talk to you guys.
That's the beauty of telepathy, though.
I can talk to them, but not tell you what they said.
I mean, probably Delirious. Most likely to be
I mean,
not on the front lines.
I could do it. If we're in the midst of battle, I can have a flock of familiars up, providing eyes in the sky, relaying it back to everyone, give a real battlefield overview.
Then the Hexblade Quentin it shall be, and you are marked by the wizard. There is one last individual that we could cast it on.
Nope.
And they will wait for Delirious to come back. Who should the final person be? The wizard said, now Olverth, Captain Manspread, isn't a done deal. Tridoris says she should receive the link. She's the leader of the priests. The Pelorgy, if you will. Yeah. And go ahead.
I would propose a third candidate, somebody who's actually not at this council, the head of the Dwarven contingent.
The dwarves.
And do we have their paperwork to see what they, the mercenaries, believe they'll be getting for this battle?
It will be steep, says Lord Jarmath, with like kind of one of those, I hope the check clears. I hope the check clears. Please don't cash it till Monday. Please don't cash it till Monday. I hope it clears. They consider that. They say, we could cast it to the dwarves, but they will. They have pledged to serve under Olverth. And he kind of waves. Lady Cal says, and I kind of think I should have it. I will be commanding troops. Battle armor, all that.
How many troops do you command, Lady Call?
Oh, about 1,200. Mouths to feed. They're paid well. 3 times as much as the Lion Guard, and they try to shush her. She's like, well, they deserve good wages.
Oh, paid as much.
I was actually thinking our own dragon, honestly.
You could put it on someone else. Now, Fegalos may or may not fight in the battle.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's dangerous for him to face the Red Hand openly. Especially if they have 3 dragons.
He'd be a big target without a lot of support in that arena.
And he may owe them money, so...
Or we could use him as bait.
Either way, it's probably not a good candidate for the telepathic bond. No, that wouldn't be a good idea. Never mind. He wouldn't go for it anyway.
What's
Well,
that?
here
He
are
goes for it.
essentially the options. So, Olverth, or you could give it to a member of the Dwarven contingency. They will pass it on to him. Rohrbach is the leader of the dwarves. Likewise, it could go to Lady Call, or it could go to Tredora Goldheart. Out of those, who do you lean to?
I would give my vote for Tredora, the clerics.
How many clerics does she command that are going to be dispersed throughout the battlefield? The battle.
There will be about 100, but the most
That's-
important thing is she
yeah.
she will be able to move them around.
Yeah.
Make an insight check, Doliris and Eldon.
Sure.
8.
15.
22.
All right, both of you have the intuition. You can tell she mostly wants the connection just so she can be connected to Lord Jarmath.
I'm afraid of that.
That's not very, very useful reason.
No.
I'd vote for Lady Call, just based on that, frankly.
So
She does have her own private army.
It's true.
vote of the Velkyn Weave. How many took for Olverth? How many for Call? So all for Captain Manspread. Hands up.
Oh, it's a Call or Manspread over Call.
Yeah.
He's got 8,000 troops. I thought this was like an extra one.
8,000 and the dwarves.
And the dwarves, yeah.
And the dwarves. He raises his chicken bone one last time. And with that, it will be given to Captain Olverth. And with that, the stage is set, and we'll move into the final preparations for the Battle of Brindol. But I think it's a good time to go on break before we move into that segment.
All right.
One last thing, just
Yes.
because paranoid and all that. Can I divine sense as we're
Who are you divine sensing?
it's a 60-foot bubble.
Yeah. And just
The
go
whole
ahead and
room.
describe the effect, because I want to make sure you get all the information you should.
I detect good and evil. I sense anything affected by Hallow. I know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60
Hallowed was the spell. So there is a evil presence in the room. Everyone else is good except Bope. So
That's what I thought. I just
but
was
Bope is
checking.
allied with the party, and we've had talks about good play and how if your alignment changes to evil, sometimes you have to be a monster that kills other monsters.
Wanted to make sure there wasn't, some fiend.
No, there's no like
shape
devil.
changer.
Like a doppelganger.
yeah.
Like her red hair, then little horns. Oops! I'm saying. So let's go into our mid-show announcements. If you do have a question for our characters, go ahead and type question in all capital letters in chat. And Michelle, why don't you give us those Patreon announcements?
Yep. The Games Tavern Petron is a great way to support the show and get useful perks and awesome content back. The latest updates include early access to the interview with TTRPG streamer Matt Fellman for the Games Tavern RPG Short Shots and TTRPG streamer Ariana from Cantrip Breakers. Paint plans from the miniatures painted on That Mini Paint Show are also available, plus a new battle map and plugin encounters for your games. Just go check out patreon.com/thegamestavern, all one word, and get your hands on this amazing content.
We'll be back. Welcome back. We're having a sizzly conversation behind the scenes. And this is a question for Quentin. Now, Quentin, what exactly were you going to ask Tradora Goldheart to do here in the court? What with your telepathy?
With my helm of telepathy and via its suggestion, I was going to ask her to openly declare her love for the Lord and to lay it on him, to kiss him.
Right. All right.
It just makes sense.
So I'm going to have to make a save, I assume.
Yes, it's a DC 13.
All right. So let's see.
Some save? She is
Uh,
a priest.
yeah. Hey, nothing
Ish,
ventured,
Yeah,
nothing gained.
You're absolutely right. You know what?
And she wants to do it. So I
Well,
saw it in her mind.
a 3 on the die is not going to help her very much. So she looks over at Lord Jarmeth, and she looks at his pale blue eyes, and she sizes him up. His face slowly aging, not as young as he once was, as he approaches the autumn of his life. And she speaks. She says, "Last night I slept, and when I woke, his kiss still floated on my lips. For we had strayed together in my dream through some dim glade, where the shy moonbeams scarce dared light our bliss. The air was dank with dew between the trees. The hidden glowworms kindled and were spent, cheek pressed to cheek. The cool, the hot night breeze mingled our hair, our breath, and came and went. As sporting with our passion, low and deep, spake in mine ear his voice. Didst thou dream this could be buried? This could be sleep? And love be thrall to death? Nay, what so seem? Have faith, dear heart. This thing that is, thereon I woke, and on his lips, my kiss." So she throws out, that's actually the poem Assurance by Emma Lazarus, which is fun to throw in RPGs. And then she plants a kiss right there on the Lord in front of everyone.
Spicy.
And it's like, yeah, the wizard, like his golden moon on the top of his staff, like pops off. He's just like, ah! And like, affection in the court. Lady call. Slow claps.
And use that against him later.
A din of noise is coming from outside the window, and there appears to be a ruckus outside.
A ruckus.
An army approaches.
And there appears to be a chanting. You hear it. Immerstall snaps his fingers in the stained glass window, disappears for a second, and you hear music. It's a bunch of singing, strange voices outside. Forward, backward, inward, outward, come and join the chase. Nothing could be drier than a jolly caucus race. Forward, backward, outward, inward, bottom to the top. Never a beginning, there can never be a stop. And like there is a lizard folk contingency marching in circles around 2 reptilian foes who are floating upon a flying carpet slowly, with crowns upon their head. One is a long-necked Yuan-Ti, and Deet and Tobias and their lizard folk battalion are going to join the fight.
Hooray! Oh, they made
The
it.
Lion Guard's like, "What do we do?" And they're like, "You let us in the name of Timora!" And they're waving what looks like effigies of Doliris they've made. It's weird.
God.
It's like a pinata. And,
I
like,
can't take them anywhere.
No! And like
Can't leave
they're-
him anywhere either.
I'm picturing those the giant dolls that they make for, not dolls, but
The windsock.
caricatures that they make for Day of the Dead down.
Yes, very much like that. And they're just like they're just coming in and like they've got their Doliris paraphernalia. They are marching with the grace of Timora, and like the Lion Guard looks up, and then like Captain Manspread turns to Doliris and goes, "Do we let him in?"
Yes. But listen, if you could like maybe
Flying
claim
carpet
some
is
sort of
coming up to the
contraband
window.
is hidden in the Timor and the Doliris effigies and just burn them, I'd count that as a
Burn
favor.
them.
Sacrilege.
They'll get
They're
over
with
it.
us.
They-
They're with us.
Deet and Tobias fly in through the window. They're like, "We're here to defend the walls of Brindol."
I run up and give them both the biggest hug I can.
Yeah, they come in, they kind of squeeze, and they like look at everyone, and they're like, y'all look like y'all's are in good health. You went down to the thorny waste, we heard, and looked death in the eye.
Well, he didn't call himself Death, but sure.
You thought that would stop us?
Death blinked.
Well, we're gonna fight for you. You just tell us where to stand and what to hold.
What
Do
did
you have to?
bring?
If needed, we could command from here. We know a lot about ruling a peoples. And they start cracking their knuckles. And Lord Jarmuth is like, oh, is that necessary? Are they usurping us? Take his crown. They said, no, they don't say that. And he sees the throne. Lock the doors, Rinian. There's no sheriffs in town.
Well,
Protectors. No, they don't do any of that stuff.
Well, what did they bring with them?
We brought fighters. And they have about 100 lizard folk strong.
But what are they? What do they excel in? What is their forte? Are they ranged fighters? Are they sneaky boys? Are they?
We think of them more as spiritual leaders. Boys, show them! And then, like, 2 lizard folk down there open their mouths. Ah! And then, like, you just see, like, clouds of locusts forming, like, filling the streets. Ah! And then they open wider, and then, like, clouds of fog fly above them. And then you hear, like the Lion Guard, like, ow, hey, quit it, stop! Hey, no!
did they bring us a bunch of high-level clerics?
Well, they brought
Shamans.
the 7 shamans that you didn't kill when you were in rest.
Ooh.
There were all the lizard folk families that you left alive and left Deet and Tobias as their leaders, and they've been proselytizing to them for weeks now.
Lizard folk mystics
These
with
folk-
some substantial amount of arcane ability
Wow,
and added it to our forces.
that's perfect.
They hit mighty hard with them bone weapons.
I'm sure they do. I believe these lizard folk would be great defending the river.
They nod.
Perfect.
Nimble, like, attaches to Delirious and is like, please never leave me with those guys ever again. They didn't mistreat me, but I'm gonna need to be cleaned for like 3 weeks.
You can't talk,
Deep
but
cleaning.
subtext.
Yeah,
Stay
you
in the
get
steamer.
it. You get the
Moses.
message.
Just
Well, no, listen, Tobias, could you? You know, you could leave, right? You don't have to be here for this.
Don't have to be
die
here
here.
for this.
You don't have to die here.
Our good lady of Timora, that is a hell of a thing for you to say to us. We are your first disciples. We will go down if needs be, and if death takes us, so be it. We will rise again by means of Bope or means of Rinian. We will rise and fight for you.
Okay, first of all, I
Whether the
can
flesh
raise
falls
you
from-
too. Second of all, what if I don't want you to die because you're the first? What if
Then
too many people have already died on my watch?
Shaky tears. And like Lady Kyle's like, now this is passion, not some fake suggested, premeditated kiss and poem.
I step up the stand with Deet and Tobias as I stare at Delirious. And what if you should fall? You don't have to be here. You choose to be here. So do they.
My affairs are in order. The monks died, and I could do nothing, but
It is
I
life.
can't.
It is the cycle.
Deet says, let us fight for the monks. Revenge! And they call out to their lizard army who are like, with their bone spears.
There is more to fight for than just to live. There is far more. I mean, you could ask many of people around here what they fight for. Do they fight for just the act of good? Do they fight to stop evil? Do they fight to save their homes? Do they fight for their loved ones? There's many reasons for us all to be here.
Renian, quit paladinging at me.
Delirious simply put, everyone's got to make a choice, and those fellas have made theirs. Ain't right for you to question their choices any more than it is to question it for any more than it is for us to question yours.
They meekly, like, fall to Delirious's feet. They say but a word and we shall go. We do not have to be here, but we would prefer to serve thee by using the best means we know how. Commanding our good folk, the lizard folk, that were shown such mercy at the hands of the Velkyn Weave. They have prospered as a people. Rest remembers. I think that's a Quentin line from chat, but
So good.
I've done my best never to tell you to do anything.
they say, what if we, and a coin of Timora appears in their hand, flip for it.
Where'd that come from?
Trick we learned from him, and they point to Immerstall the Red. He's like, I'm a quick teacher.
I'm so proud of them.
You just got here.
The cantrip.
I took to them quickly. If you want, you can roll. Odds they stay. Evens they will go. They will go to the temple.
I mean, this does seem very appropriate.
Aha, trick's on you. It's a double-sided coin.
It's a 1.
See? Told you.
Odds they stay.
I'd say stay.
Well, I've done my best never to tell you to do anything. So if you stay, then stay, but don't die. I can't. Not you guys.
We've got too much living left to do than to die on you, Dolirus. We promise to live the remainder of the 7 months we have left according to our Bolo's Guide lifespans. No, I'm just kidding. We promise to be long in the lizard tooth before we are laid to rest.
Very well.
All right, and they go in for a big hug. And with that, there are going to be events that happen before the battle. I'd like to hear from each of the players sort of what their preparations would be in the final days leading up to the battle, because there is some time. Pope, your attunement has finished.
Okay. I would have liked to have a conversation before the attunement.
Oh, yeah. Do that.
And I'm really bad at, fitting it in. So at some point, I'd like to just
do that now.
Yes.
I apologize.
Quentin. Hey, Quentin, how you doing? Hey there, buddy. Tall guy.
Yeah, Pope. What's up? Calm before the storm, eh?
Yeah, I know. It's exciting, right? I mean, I've never been a war before. Ooh, how about you?
This will be my second one.
Oh, right. The Silver Marches, right?
Yeah, we won that one, I guess.
Well, guess it depends on which side you're on. Anyway, so you know that book I got.
I've seen you with it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of been talking to me a little bit, and I just figured that from the way everybody responded to, when I raised a zombie from the ground, that people have been looking at me kind of funny. So I wanted to talk to you about it. And, you've got a different outlook on life, I feel, than some of our more righteous friends. But
sensible.
Cough.
Yes. I mean, you got that blade, right? The razor. I mean, that does that talk to you?
It does communicate with me from time to time, telling me, what it wants. Little telepathic bursts here and there, but it's not an everyday type of thing.
And you still do what you want, right? What Quentin dreams of and things like that.
Well, here's the rub. If I don't know. Maybe it did change me at a fundamental level, but I don't remember it. So I wake up every day. I'm pretty happy. Go to sleep. Some nightmares, but hey, that's not on the Hexblade. That's on me.
I mean, you've got family coming after you. You understand that, right?
Oh yeah, it's tough. They're not nice people.
Yes.
You got family coming after you?
Well, kind of the other way around. I'm looking for my brother, and I think this can help me. And I want to see this through. I want to what I've been doing hasn't been working, and I have a feeling that this will be the key. This will give me what I need to find him and to put things right. I don't know how to explain that to the others. I don't know if I can.
They might not understand. My recommendation, set a red line for yourself. Maybe do a little journaling, and if you ever see yourself crossing that point, reevaluate your life choices. It's never too late to just run away from your responsibilities.
That's good feedback. I always liked you. Maybe it's the fact that you have a little pet with you too.
Thanks. Yeah, I've really grown fond of them. I've kind of doubled down on that aspect of my being.
Oh, speaking of which, and I hand you some paper and 25 gold. According to Xanathar's guide, a quick looking during the break.
What's this for?
Do you think you could spend a day copying down the spell Find Familiar? I'd love to have one of my own.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Okay. If we find some time in the many days we have, preparing here,
Hey, for you, anything. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. I take out a little azure or maybe sapphire gem. Would you like this? It's that old spell stone that I never used.
Actually, I would have a use for that. I'll put Find Familiar in that in case it dies.
Oh, perfect. It currently has a sleep spell in it. I thought I'd need that at some point, but it turns out I would just put myself to sleep most of the time. So. Anyway,
yeah.
I know you'll find a good home for it. I'll hand him the level 1 spellstone. The lapis, something like that.
Lapis lazuli.
Yes, that one.
It's beautiful. All right, let's get ready for war.
All right. I smear a little dirt under my eye. It's like crooked and like smeared.
Well done. Now, are you going to finish your tuning with the book?
Yes.
All right. So, do you want the good or the bad first?
The bad.
The good.
No, it's always the bad.
Hey, let him decide.
The good is you can, that book does a lot of things. I don't know if you looked at everything that it can do. There's a lot that it can do, and you can now add to it. So for the audience, Bope has attuned to the Book of Vile Darkness, which is said to be written by Vecna himself, which there will be those hunting Bope down for the rest of his days. And it does a lot of cool things. It gives you a lot of major and minor beneficial properties, as well as minor and major detriments. I've rolled for all these things in advance, and so we'll see where it stays. Now, first things first, Bope, choose an ability score and increase it by 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Intelligence, right? Yeah.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
Now,
Should have selected wisdom.
choose another ability score and reduce it by 2 to a minimum of 3.
Okay.
Constitution.
Yeah, now here's the question, because I've got that amulet of vitality that sets my constitution to 19.
This is going to be your core, whether you have
Okay.
something attuned or not. Your vital essence or
Yeah.
something depletes.
So I'm gonna do constitution. So when I take
Okay.
off that necklace, I am going to be a withered husk.
Yes, and so be careful. This is going to be one of those things where it's like there's going to be a lot of different questionable supplements we have to pop into Bope to keep them alive. A lot of different concoctions. You're going to be on a very strict diet from here on out.
I
So
still have the boat
that-
mirror.
You acquire a hideous disfigurement. So,
A strong hand.
My beautiful face. What have you done?
well, not quite. you get a pair of elaborate platinum devil horns that grow from your
Ooh,
forehead.
platinum!
They're platinum, and they are like a beacon that draw greedy people.
Do they regrow if you cut them off?
So
Asking for a friend.
That
we
means
gotta-
asking the important questions.
Are they straight? Are they kind of curled a little bit? Are they like
they're curled a little, and also your tongue is now forked.
okay?
Oh,
Oh
You get
no!
advantage. You get advantage on persuasion checks with evil creatures and intimidation checks with non-evil creatures.
Pope, just
man.
know that if you ever want to atone, I can bring you back.
Oh, Red, you
If-
don't go far.
and I'll help.
You gain the ability Command Evil. So you can now use an action to cast Dominate Monster on an evil target. And the DC for it is 18. But you can only use it once per day.
Oh man. Oh,
Wow.
You now have reference to
That's-
Dark Lore. You can make it an intelligence check to recall information about any aspect of evil. Sorry.
Evil. Only-
Evil.
Evil.
Lore about demons or devils or extraplanar cosmic horrors. And when you do so, you double your proficiency on the check.
Cosmic horrors, you say?
expertise, right?
Yeah. You also now speak dark speech. And if you recite words from the Book of Vile Darkness, you take 1d12 psychic damage. You take that. And every non-evil creature within 15 feet of you takes 3d6 psychic damage.
That would
Oh,
be your
wow.
party, FYI.
Probably.
Yes.
Please remember
Stand
that.
far
For
away from
now,
Except
you know,
Quentin.
I can convince you guys to come to the dark side, right?
The book can be destroyed. There's a number of ways that it can be done. So a creature can attune to the book for 100 years and then recite its hidden phrase and destroy it for 1,000 years. A solar, like an angel, can rip it in half and send it away for 100 years. Or if all evil in the multiverse is wiped out, then the book goes away.
Oh, is that all?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think that one's probably...
There's a bunch of other evil stuff in here, such as it might cause someone around it or yourself to become a lich or a death knight. The true names of many fiends might be found in that book, but you'd have to delve even deeper. And there are all kinds of evil dark magic spells of the Dungeon Master's design. But this brings us back to the random properties, which I have rolled for. The first is it gives you the ability to cast a 7th level spell as an action that may or may not recharge. And that spell is Finger of Death.
Ooh, that may or may not recharge.
Yes.
Like ever?
No, it would recharge by the next day.
Oh,
But
okay.
you can use the book as an action to or you can use it to cast Hunger of Hadar. You know, where this cosmic horror and these black tentacles come out and just this really weird, awful spell is cast. Likewise, you gain a skill proficiency and another skill proficiency.
Ooh.
And that's the good stuff. Let's talk about the bad stuff.
Yeah. Thought
So-
we were getting there.
First, you must eat and drink 6 times the normal amount of everyone. And we're keeping track of that. So you're going to have to start downing food. And I'm not saying you stay lean and fit, but you have to eat in order to maintain your attunement to the book. You will become stout and portly.
Horse a day keeps the lich away.
You'll have to get a
6
very
squares a
rigorous
day.
exercise routine.
Oh man.
Your appearance changes, and you grow to 5 feet tall, and your face and head change to the picture I'm going to drop in the Velkyn Weaves Discord.
I
What is happening?
What?
You become a young David Hasselhoff. Just with your horns.
Oh
Same-
my gosh.
Yes, but you're also like 5 feet tall now, so you're taller than you've ever been, but you're only 5 feet tall.
What is happening?
Yes.
But
Best
But-
day ever.
He is not going to be able to hide this.
but
No.
Nope. All right.
I'm the short. I am the shortest part of the party now.
And doesn't matter any other abilities you have. Here are the other things. You have disadvantage on all saving throws against spells.
Oh.
No break even. Just if a spell's cast on you, you're at disadvantage.
That's like
And
half the
that's
good
rough.
part about being a gnome.
And well, you're more than a gnome now.
Oh,
You done
And
fucked
the
up.
final detriment is you are vulnerable to all damage types. Double damage if you get hit.
Oh my god.
Sorry, Reed in the chat. Oh dear God.
okay.
So,
Good luck.
Okay.
Have fun.
What have
I have
you
contact.
done?
so the
Well-
next time you see Bo,
Or do we even know it's him? He's a 5 foot tall David Hasselhoff. Like,
With the platinum
I
horns.
like come
You're
downstairs. I'm like scratching my. We're like, morning.
We're like, "Wah!"
oh, I didn't know
touch.
Bope had a friend come up last night. Hi, Bope's friend.
Wait, horns.
Bet.
Quentin, is this one of yours?
Should we? Are we jumping into it?
yeah, let's get into this. I
Okay.
think this is the reveal. The morning for
Yeah.
breakfast. Blanche Lafayette has her book.
Well, I did have something to do before
Oh,
the day
sorry.
of the
Yeah.
battle.
Oh,
Oh,
wait,
we're-
the battle's
this is-
still
yeah.
ways up.
Okay.
This is just the morning we find out Bope
Yeah.
is a young David Hasselhoff with platinum horns.
Oh
I-
wow.
That was never in my whole life did I think I would utter that sentence.
Hey, stand by my statement. Quentin, is this one of yours?
I mean, check its paperwork. I would have my seal of approval on it.
So, guys,
Where's your
Helm of
paperwork at?
telepathy.
something's different. You know, when you reach a certain age, your body changes, and none of you have reached that age, nor
Holy
will
shit,
you ever.
Bope?
I think he hit fourth puberty.
That's not a thing.
Four.
Not a thing.
Four.
It's
Uh,
gnomes.
No. No.
Okay,
I know all about puberty. I know everything there is to know about puberty, and you don't go through it 4 times.
Renyon, what are you thinking?
you don't want to know what I'm thinking.
No, but I asked. I do.
No, you don't.
Are you going to kill me?
No.
No.
Eaton Tobias heads come and say, "Kill it!
No.
Beat it with a shovel!
No,
Kill?
guys.
No. Protect?
Calm down.
Probably not.
Protect!"
I mean, okay, so
The forked tongue.
I'm sorry. This is necessary. Okay, you have to trust me on this.
Insight check. I don't believe you.
All right, what do I roll?
There's nothing to roll. You can just speak from your heart. I mean, you've got a book you've attuned to.
So when we were, I mean, I don't know how perceptive you are. When we were in the liches, Kevin, we got the book. I did take a book. I got the bone and I got the book, and
Bope.
the book.
The
is
bone
going-
whispers, "Release me."
No, not yet. You guys, I can't just start from the beginning. But the important thing is, I need to do something, and this book is going to help me.
That book is not going to help anything.
Are we going to be concerned about what you need it to do?
No,
There's far better choices than that book.
I mean, it depends. How do you feel about evil warlocks responsible for mass genocide? You know.
Generally against, not gonna lie.
Yes. Okay. See, we're all on the same side.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty broad brush you're painting.
It's a very
up
high
there,
bar.
Bope.
Okay. I'll give you the short version. I have a brother who murdered the rest of my family. And the only reason I'm with you is because I'm looking for him. And I thought you guys could help me.
Why didn't you just start with that in the beginning? This is why I don't believe you.
Like, that's a good
Because-
reason. No, I mean, like, that's legit, you know.
Something to tell us when we started this thing? Yes, you're right.
You guys don't seem really good with the whole murder and revenge thing.
Well,
What part of life and death are part of the cycle? Murder? Well, still part of the cycle. If done for the right reasons, it is.
there's some
natural
things you
enough.
don't forgive.
Murder is legal in some cities.
This is not natural.
And I'm just like looking up at Belf, like, come on.
Well, as soon as I don't need it anymore, I'll get rid of it, and then that'll be that.
Don't believe you.
I do.
Okay.
I want to.
Look, tuning to dangerous magical items, it's what we do. Like, I haven't taken this mask off in 2 months, and I got God knows how many, like, people out to get me for it.
That's also, I mean, we're
That's not
also
a great
not
defense.
super happy about that either, Quentin. Like,
It is a means to an end that I need to get to.
Tentatively, okay.
I mean, you kind of springing this on us at a time we can't really do a whole lot else
Well,
because there's a whole friggin' city we have to defend against an army.
Didn't think it would look like this.
Meaning you thought you could hide it from us.
Now, you see,
It
that's
was
the
just a
problem.
book.
He didn't think.
All right, Randy.
What
Tell me, you don't have to kill any rabbits or kids, though, right?
No.
Well,
Who's
You
going
got
to take
that,
a
at
look
least.
Mr. Peppers?
What?
Who's going to take a look at Mr. Peppers?
Oh no!
his
Does he
little
have horns too? Is he a little jackalope? That would be cute.
Does he also
Mr.
have
Peppers.
David
is-
Hasselhoff's face?
No. He is just literally a stone square. Solid.
What?
The cost
Rock-
was too high.
You brought this upon yourself.
Mr. Peppers.
He's still alive. He's just a stone. Not shaped like a rabbit. Just rectangle. Even
No. When you say alive, what do you mean?
his heart still beats. If you unattune with the book, he'll go back to normal.
Okay,
Lose
so
that
I
stone.
can sense life.
The pulse
Coming
of
from
life.
the
Is,
stone?
Oh, you know he's alive.
Okay.
That is a living
Okay.
stone, a sentient
Okay.
stone.
Oh, Mr.
A
Peppers.
terrified stone, I'm
That
We
sure.
have-
So sorry.
Do
The
we have to
weirdest damn
feed
thing
it?
I've ever seen.
How do
I
you
need-
feed
No,
it?
but you gotta make sure it doesn't break.
Oh,
Doesn't need to
no.
eat or
My
breathe.
goodness.
Stuff
put
in
it
a
in my
portable
bag.
hole.
You can use
bag.
it to see through, see in a radius of what it sees of about 60 feet if you leave it someplace. So it's your Mr. Pepper's like scry stone at the moment.
Oh,
He also works as an arcane focus.
It's
sorry.
your Mr. Pepper's trail cam. You can just leave him out somewhere.
Oh, I didn't mean for this.
What'd you see, boy? Tell me.
What's that? Little Timmy got stuck in the well.
He's not unhappy. Mr. Peppers is perfectly fine right now. He's just in a state of suspended animation.
But you love those carrots.
He
Maybe
still
you could
does.
Eat them.
He can't eat them.
At which point, I just start shoving them in my mouth. I'll eat them for you.
At that point, the door opens. Now, Rinian, you said you had something you wanted to do, but someone else is also trying to get your attention. So you can do what you want to do, or we can jump to this scene because...
Well, what I wanted to do would actually take several days.
What would you want to do over 7 days? Because this might happen during that.
I want to cast plant growth over any type and try to create a funnel as I slowly raise the
Nice.
plants, bringing Sylvanus's might to bear.
I'll help. We could cut that. We could cut that in half, man. Like,
It'd be great. You guys spend all morning, you're casting, it grows, then like you leave, then like the Brindol gardener comes out with a mower and just... I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah, you are. You're making almost what I would describe as a hedge maze.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's similar.
That's a great idea.
Particularly on maybe the sides that they're not coming from, maybe are more vulnerable positions. The river, so on and so forth.
Yeah. That works.
I got a good 1-2 punch for that when the army gets here. Wrath of Nature. But that's for the actual day of battle. And changing the terrain up a little bit can make that quite useful.
Yeah, because I was like looking at plant growth, and there is no time on it. You just make the plants grow, and they stay that way.
Nice.
I like it.
If you got something, that's fine. But there's some preparatory things for later in that 10-day period as well that I've got that I'd like to give a shot.
For sure.
Same.
In fact, let's go through everyone's and then we'll jump to Rinian's thing.
Okay. Probably in the latter half of the week, but I would go out beyond the city walls a stretch, like to scout out by myself, like in like wild shape, something that I can get around and move quick at.
How far?
I can fly now.
Hey!
Yay!
Early on, a couple of miles at least.
All right. A mile away, you see a massive encampment of about 15,000 hobgoblins. They are not far.
Okay, that's good to know.
They are waiting as well. Probably because their undead army hasn't shown up.
So when I go out there, I'd like to find a secluded spot that I can sit uninterrupted for about 10 minutes or so. You know, I'm small. I can do that. You know, I can get out there and cast Commune with Nature.
Right, so what's this do?
So Commune with Nature, yeah. This gives me knowledge of the land within 3 miles of me. I instantly gain knowledge of up to 3 facts of my choice about any of the following subjects as they relate to the area. I would like to know about if there are any powerful celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead nearby within that 3 mile span.
There are definitely powerful fiends.
Do I gain any
More
knowledge
than one.
of them? Or
you know that there has been a rift that has opened that has caused members of a fiendish army to pour out of the earth and join the Red Hand.
So that was going to be the second thing. I can determine if there's been any influence from other planes of existence.
Yeah, they're definitely coming from they are coming from hell. Some are coming from Avernus, some are coming from lower.
Okay.
Probably got the Crocmen of the sewers of Dis that are just going to pour out into the streets at some point. But yes, you've got fiends and extraplanar foes that are going to join this army. Currently, their numbers are few.
The rest here wouldn't be super useful. I'd just like to, if I can, get a rough idea of their numbers at this point.
There are thousands.
Okay.
Beyond what you could count, using your expert guesstimation, though, there are less than you would expect. Their numbers have been thwarted from what they had hoped to maintain in muster because they have fought giants, they've fought lizard folk rebellions. They don't have the undead reinforcements, which is interesting. Like, there's a bunch of encounters in this chapter. They go, but if they made a deal with the Ghost Lord, these guys never show. Skip this part. And those are like Ghost Brute Commander.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, horrible stuff. But
I'm glad that guy's on our side.
Yeah.
And I would probably come out and try and do the same thing a couple days in a row just to see if I get any change in the numbers towards the end of that 10-day span. And pass that information on to all relevant parties.
All right. Well, they now know that they are facing down an enormous horde, and that this horde is going to have foes beyond them. There is something else you saw. A massive shadow that often would pass over their troops, staying above the crowd, and occasionally was over you. Do you investigate?
In an innocuous bird form? Sure. From a distance.
As you ascend from a distance, you see there is a red dragon larger than any of the other dragons you have seen that is scouting over the area,
And
keeping its eyes open.
duck back into the underbrush as fast as I can upon realizing what I'm seeing.
And with that, let's jump to Quentin. I know you had a laundry list of magic items as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, if there was any like economy or shops open, I would try and fulfill that. But if not, I've got an alternate set of plans in a third.
Emmerstall can help you. So, and here's sort of how we're going to play this out. So, I have a price list. So essentially, an uncommon magic item, 500 gold. A rare item would be 5,000 gold. And a common item, 100. The city will give you up to 5,000 gold worth. That's kind of what I'll let you decide, and then we can play out fictionally what Emmerstall finds. But essentially, what you're looking for is what he will provide. And the book just kind of generalizes it. They go, look, it's a big city. I'm sure they would get all their magic and Emberstall's there, but just kind of use this price list. So here's what it should be more or less restricted to, though.
Okay.
Things like scrolls, wands, rings, staff. But if there is a particular item, we can probably allow it.
Okay. Any stabby weapons like your +1s and +1 daggers, or no?
They could probably do that. Let me see. So a weapon +1 would be uncommon. So that would be 500, and it would be magical. Any weapon.
Okay. So I'm not choosing for everyone, right? I'm just trying to fulfill my own list here, or
It's up to you. You could be like, hey, I met with Emmerstall. We went through all this stuff, and this is what I found most useful. You can go off your list for yourself. Mostly, though, it's if you were to get things to help the group for the battle.
Yeah.
And if you want to look through some items, we can play out Rinian's scene.
Yeah, sure.
While you look at that. All right. So, Rinian, someone you have not seen in probably a month or two at this point.
Which day is this?
I can't give you the exact day, but it's before the army comes. Probably day 6. You have been sought out by a beautiful elf. You performed feudal rites with her when her brother was slain. You've returned his remains. It's Trillaria.
Yes.
And they have... they ask if you have become worthy yet.
That is a difficult question to answer. And is anyone ever truly worthy in the end? We all have flaws, yes?
Make a charisma check in insight or persuasion. You use your charisma modifier, though.
Sure. Persuasion for a 22.
22. 2 other elves come in from the hallway, and they are carrying with them. We can bring up on the battle map creature 4. They're not carrying a creature, but that's the slide that I'm using. These shoulder pads and this belt. The face, instead of having that mustache, actually looks like Countess Sansuri, though. We have recovered this from a fallen cloud castle that collided with the Red Hand Horde.
Cloud Castle.
No giants were there, but we did see their tracks, and they are all headed in this direction.
And,
Don this relic, and then they open a box, and there's that silver mace. And if you'd be worthy, we'd be honored to have you as our principal defender.
I would be honored as well if it so chose me to think as me as worthy.
All right, so I need you to make a charisma check with proficiency to lift the mace after you attune with this belt of cloud giant strength, which would send your strength score like up pretty high, something like 24. I agree. It's like a high number.
Okay.
Giants are strong.
So
Hope's 5 feet tall. Renyan's as strong as a cloud giant. What's going on? All right.
I think what he's about to do is throw the kitchen sink at us.
Several kitchen sinks.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Several kitchen sinks, as he says. Let's see. Okay, so proficiency is +4. And charisma is +2, so +6. I got a 18.
18 is right on the nose. As you pick up this glowing silver mace, it grows inside. The sky, it was bright, it was noonday. It almost as if the ceiling itself opens and the sky turns to stars, and starlight bathes itself upon you. For all intents and purposes, the mace has the same qualities as a hammer of thunderbolts, for you are attuned to the belt of giant strength, the gauntlets of ogre power, and the hammer. While you are attuned to all three things, you get a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls with the magic weapon. It also has 5 charges. You can throw it and make a ranged attack 20 feet. And when it hits, it's going to do radiant damage of celestial moonlight and crack into them. And the individual will have to make a constitution saving throw or be stunned. And it regains its charges at dawn. So essentially, you now have this sacred weapon of the elves.
Or Moon Thor.
Yeah,
Moon
your
Thor.
Moon Thor.
I will need all this written down because that is a lot.
Yes. And it has the Giant's Bane quality. So, yeah, I will send this. Just know that instead of thunder, or instead of thunder qualities, it has moonlight qualities. I'm just going to drop that in the behind the scenes. And it also is +3 to attack and damage instead of +1.
Okay. And after having been enveloped in the moonlight and the fireworks, effectively, I turn to the elves and is like, I will be your defender.
They all sort of kneel graciously and then let out a cheer. So you are now armed for this. Are there any scenes to play out before the oncoming?
I had one more. For 2 days prior to the battle, I approach Delirious. I may have came off too strong before, but I understand your desire to protect and to save.
Uh-huh.
Have you actually dedicated them to Timora? It is, I know, a spell that I have access to for Sylvanus, but I do not know if Timora has blessed you with that capability as well. Through ceremony, you can dedicate them to your deity for 24 hours, increasing their ability to withstand that which they may face.
That's a good idea. Thank you. I'll see if they will accept that.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
What's that? I should know what that is. I do have access to it.
The ceremony spell?
Yeah,
Yes. That's...
It's the fourth option in the ceremony. There's atonement, bless water, coming of age, dedication.
Hold on.
funeral rite, and wedding.
I thought I had ceremony, but I'm not seeing it on my list here. Oh.
It might not be something.
It's not in the base book, and that's what I got sitting in front of me.
Ah.
Never mind.
That came out in Xanathar's, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a Xanathar's.
Okay.
But, anyways, you can cast it, the night prior. And
Yeah, and then
should
not
last
have
throughout.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, I think now, Grant, we have prepared.
You are prepared. All right. And so, the day of the battle is upon you. You hear the beating of the drums. The sky has turned black with clouds and flames. A spell is cast, and Quentin hears a voice in his head.
Hello, is this thing on?
It's Emmerstall.
Velkyn Weave online.
Captain Manspread's like, how do I turn this off? You can't! And Jarmeth says, is there any way to get eyes on them? Is there any way to see just how fearsome this is?
I can have my familiar share with me, and I'll share with you.
They affirm. They go, all right. Your familiar sees there is a large force, and it is massive. Most of it is pressing very, very hard on the western wall of the city, just the front of Brindol, and it's trying to come into the walls. They are having, they weren't expecting all the plant growth. They weren't expecting hedge mazes. Now, they have hill giants with them. They have ogres. They have these strange blue lizard-like creatures that cackle with lightning and blue flames that seem to be burning through the fields as they walk, and they are placing their full might on the cities. With that said, it appears that their initial attack is against the walls of the city itself. Not far from the Velkyn Weave's position, you hear calls that giants are attempting to bring down the walls. There are giants. Now, you have an option as far as resources to bring with you into battle. You will always have at least 4 lion guard with you. You may also bring in one of the following NPCs. You can have Trillaria Night Shadow on a flying owl. Captain Serana can be with you, serving as she will be assigned to one member of the Velkyn Weave to defend them at all times. Likewise, you could also have Tredora herself, though she would prefer not to go, but you could demand that she provide additional clerical support. So you'll have the 4 Lion Guard. Which of your NPC allies would you like to join you? Trilaria the Elf, Serana, or Tridora? Or you can roll to see if Blanche Lafayette shows up.
I'm thinking maybe the cleric for Bope, since he's, super vulnerable to things now.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can keep that tank filled if it's going to be guzzling.
Oh, could we do the magic item thing real quick? If
Yeah.
time?
Let's go ahead and roll that out. There's time.
So I consult my little list of stuff, and Cloaks of Elvenkind. If he had enough for the party, I would want to make sure everyone got one of them.
I think I already have one.
You have the 1 a day use one, not the forever a day use one.
That's true.
So let's see. A Cloak of Elvenkind. So
Those are-
they would be able to get you 6 Cloaks of Elvenkind, I think.
They're
Wipe
only
out, I think,
5 of
3,000,
us.
right?
Yeah, so that would be
2,500.
okay. Do they have an amulet of proof against detection in there?
They do not.
Okay, well, what about a perioptic proof against poison?
Yes, they would have a periopt. A proof against poison.
Okay, and what about?
So the periopt of proof against poison would cost 5,000.
Oh, that is the rare one.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go with that. And then got 2,000 units. Okay, so the last question I would have then is if they had one of those shields, the Sentinel Shield, with the eye emblazoned on it.
So let's see. A Sentinel Shield. Yes, they could do that.
Okay. It's gonna.
That would take
Yeah.
you to 3,000.
Yeah, I've got 3,000 I can spend on that, and then
Well, that's sort of not just spend money from your pool on magic items because they're not collecting money. This is the equipment they give you.
oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of a mini game.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's not
Okay.
magic item supermarket. It's buff your party up to 3,000 gold.
Okay,
You said earlier it was 5.
well, the city was bumping that
And
up.
it could be 5.
So is it the cloaks and the shield or the perioptic poison? Is that how it goes?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll
cloaks
take
and
it
cloaks and shield it is. I will bring the news back to the party.
And if you wanted any scrolls, you could pick those up as well.
Yeah, couple scrolls of shield and a couple of the bonus action healing spell for everyone else.
Okie dokie. Yeah, so you can
Keep it
pick
simple.
up. Yeah, that'll give you 3 scrolls of. Let's just say 3 scrolls of healing word, 3 scrolls of shield.
Sounds good.
All right.
Friends, family, come bearing gifts.
Yeah, he's coming with an Immerstall. He's just like, right. And like they're like talking telepathically to each other and out loud.
Headache.
So how are you dividing this? So everyone takes a cloak. Now,
Yeah.
do the cloak how's everyone's attunements looking?
Cloaks are not attuned as far as I'm understanding, which is why
Yeah,
I
if it
was.
doesn't say it, you're good with it.
No, Cloak of Elvenkind does require attunement.
Oh, it does?
That's what I'm seeing in D&D Beyond.
I'm sorry, I meant
Requires
the boots.
attunement.
Sorry, boots of Elvenkind. Then my apologies.
What am I going to do with all these cloaks? Let them keep them. Yeah, all right. So you get Boots of Elvenkind. Those don't require attunement. So you get advantage on stealth checks that require you to move silently.
And you don't leave footprints. Very important.
No footprints.
Nothing but pictures leave nothing but footprints.
And Delirious, I have the shield, which you may be interested in using. A Sentinel Shield.
Yes. What does that do?
Advantage on perception checks and initiative.
So
Yeah.
Wow.
for
Yeah.
perception, the way it's going to work in the combat is just add +5 to your passive perception. So if your passive perception's 19, you're at like 24.
Okay. It's at 20. So.
Okay, so you're at 25.
Delira sees all.
What do your cleric guys see?
Were you rocking a +1 shield?
No, I was not. Is this also a +1 shield?
No, it's not. But
Aw.
it's still pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
So, with that, we return to the walls with the newly outfitted Velkyn weave. You can see the giants are standing at a distance. They are far enough. The most of the horde seems to be about 1,000 feet away, but there is these legions of giants that are coming out. They're spread out from each other too. They seem to be about 50 feet across. I'll answer that, Rinian. Give me a moment. And with that, we're going to need you to roll for initiative because they have big old wheelbarrows, hand carts full of boulders, and they're going to try to bring these walls down the best they can. They are at maximum range for their boulders to bombard the wall.
What kind of giants are these that they're working for the Red Hand?
Hill giants.
Okay.
Sorry, Grant. So the Hunger of Hadar, was that just added to my spell list, or is it something I can cast once a day?
You use the book as an action. You can use the book to cast that spell as an action.
Oh, okay.
Now remember, concentration rules still apply.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a scary book.
Yeah, in many ways. Okay.
So how many giants were there?
4.
How far?
They are standing. Let me double check my notes. I have to pop to the other monitor. They are standing at a range of 240 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
It's a little far even for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Little far away.
Yeah.
All right. So let me. We'll go down initiative, and I'm going to go ahead and roll for these. The name of that mace is Luthian's Moonlight, and the giants have a 14 for their initiative.
I got a 6.
17.
13.
4.
22.
That shield.
Actually, I didn't have to roll twice.
Nice.
So there goes my nat 20 for the session.
All right.
You're
So
at 20 already.
Oh, yeah, damn it.
Delirious, you see spread out about 50 feet, fanned out. There are 4 hill giants beginning to lob massive stones at the stone walls,
Mhm.
hoping to bring down the walls on this side. The assumption is there are probably giants elsewhere as well. So, what do you do?
What is the... you said they're 120 feet away?
240.
240. So So my crossbow has a range of 80 effective. So 240 minus 80 is 160? Yes? Is that math right? Math magicians?
You can
Okay.
attack farther, but it'll be a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I won't be able to hit them. Yeah, so let's... I assume I have the carpet again. And so
Yep.
I want to... Yeah, so I guess we'll fly as far as we can go,
Nimble
but
can
no
take you
further
out
than...
80 feet.
Yeah, okay. So no... Yeah. Gotta
All
take on
right.
these giants.
Now, you can still do an action because Nimble is a mount. So you could fire if you wanted to.
Do my cantrips have cool
They're
range?
now
No, they
180 feet away.
don't. I don't think I can do anything at 180 feet. I think it's too far. I'm not going to dimension door that far. No. No.
Just dimension door you and Renin over there.
I was
Let
like,
Renin
yeah,
go.
you just
Yeah.
think, you know,
Bam.
All right. If there's nothing else you're doing, we will move down initiative and we will move to Elvin.
Okie dokie. Well, 4 giants. You say 50 feet apart, or they're in a 50-foot fan? 50 feet
They're apart from each other,
50
but they're
feet
about
apart from each
240 feet away, and then they're not
Yeah, yeah.
standing next to each other. They are apart.
Okay, so Delirious flew out on a rug and shot. No.
I was not able to do anything. It's too far.
The rest was still on the wall?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
getting ready to play baseball bat with a stone.
I don't think I have anything that can do anything with that. Would you prefer to go foul the batter instead?
Oh yes, if you can get me there, that'd be great.
I think I can get you there. Yeah, I can get you there.
Quick question: which NPC did you decide to have with you? Did you have the priestess?
The priest.
That was my vote. I don't think anyone else.
No dissenting votes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
no
not
problem.
going to argue.
It's against Bope's interest to argue that one.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go help Rinian foul the batter. So I'm gonna wild shape into a giant eagle and grab Rinian and fly.
Like an eagle.
80 feet.
So you are now within range, or you are 180 feet away from them. With that, we move to the giants. So, Doliris, do you have an armor class of 24, higher than 24?
No.
All right. So you on Nimble get hit for 21 points of bludgeoning damage. That was with disadvantage too. He rolled a 26 and a 24.
Dear God.
Wow.
And a second one's going to make an attack on Eldon. Armor class 13 is a giant eagle. What is it?
Right. 13.
Wow. All right, so yeah, that's with disadvantage as well because they're very far away. 21 points of damage.
Still up.
All right. The rest are
Barely.
continuing to attack the walls. And they both hit, but the wall is mighty. However, too many of those and the wall will go down. No, it's not going to drop in a round. It's not going to drop in 2 rounds. 5 or 6 rounds it might drop. Maybe longer. So with that, we move out of the Giants' initiative. And Bope, you're up.
Shoot. So, what else is on the field? Like.
Giants are the only
Okay.
enemies right now.
Okay. I turn to Quentin and be like, "You wanna join this party?"
Yeah, I'm game.
Okay. I will
So I was going to cast Fly, but I don't know who to cast it on. I was going to cast it on you. Would you accept?
Save your concentration.
Okay. Good. There's nothing I can do from this range.
Fireball from this range.
There are 240 feet, I thought.
300-foot range. Isn't it? Oh, 150.
100 over.
Should have hopped on that carpet and then dashed.
I clamber and fall off the wall. Okay. I will direct the people around to shore up the walls. I mean, there's nothing I can do.
Okay. You're not going to try to move closer at all, or you don't have any nifty teleport abilities or misty steps and a dash?
Nope.
No ranged weapon? to
Sure,
shoot
I will
240
cast
feet?
Fly and
Okay.
fly 60 feet. Nope. Fly. Yes, 60 feet.
All right. So you're at least closer to them.
Yeah.
In fact, those that were on the flying carpet weren't 180 feet away. You were actually closer. You were 160 feet away. I got my math wrong because numbers are hard. And with that, we are going to move down initiative to Rinian's turn.
Wee! Oh, you okay?
Agree.
For Rasputin!
I'll go ahead and fill the hammer with a thunderous energy.
Moonlight. It's flavored.
No.
Thunderous?
I
thunderous.
feel it.
Oh,
I fill it with thunder.
I got it. Anything else?
Just gonna lay it on thick. You know.
No, I mean, there's nothing else we can do right now. Just
All right.
waiting to go.
Quentin, you're up.
Okay, I've got my flock of familiars up, so I have 4 imps right now
Oh, gosh.
in raven form. So they got a
Barbershop quartet.
They should have a fly speed of 60, so really all they can do is close 120 feet. And I got 1 imp on each of the giants out there. So that's it for now. And they're invisible still. So
Delirious, you're up.
I gotta fly another 80 feet closer.
Yep, you are now 80 feet closer. You are now 80 feet away.
I was looking for something to. Yeah, I'm trying
There's
to
a hill
figure out
giant that
things.
stands before you.
I guess I'm just gonna shoot him with the crossbow.
No guiding bolt at high level? No.
No, you know what? I'm feeling. I bet they're not super dexterous. These.
No, they have
giants.
negative modifiers.
All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna break this out then. Great Timora, whose displeasure brings grief, I beg you to smite my enemies. Flame strike. DC
Ooh.
16 17 deck save, please.
Well, no.
Ooh.
Not at all.
Flame strike.
That's a
What?
scary one.
Nice.
Yeah.
I used it to kill a false prophet in a campaign once.
Bringing the big guns early.
Mhm.
Well, they threw a big rock at me, so I'm not feeling super good about that.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw a Renian at him.
That's good too.
Evo!
Flame
All right,
strike.
how much damage?
14 fire, 16 radiant.
All right, so as you hit, the massive flame strike falls from the heavens. The giant looks up, and he looks as though his fight is waning, though he hasn't fled from the field yet. And with that, we move down initiative to Eldon.
All right, I'm gonna fly my full 80 again, and then I'm going to dash 60, let go of Renian, then kind of pull back that last 20. So
Gotcha.
Rinyan's now 20 feet away from the giant.
Okay.
What?
Could you have a...
You didn't
Yeah.
just drop me on them?
I mean, you'd be like next to them. It's not like on them, you know.
You can be on them. You can do the riding larger creatures variant. But,
Well, screw it then. Yeah, I'm just gonna just.
I'd be falling. It's fine.
With style.
Yeah. I'm
All right.
falling. I'm falling during this time. It's not.
Giants.
All right, then yeah, I take it back. I'm just gonna like drop Rinyan on that giant.
Yeah, the giant in front of Rinyan tries to hit him with a rock. Let's see how this goes. He completely misses. I'm sure a 12 does not hit. The giant near Doliris chucks a stone at her. 27 to hit for 21 more points of bludgeoning damage.
Why can't they roll 13 against me? 13 would miss.
Meanwhile, the walls... Ooh! There's going to be a lot of damage on the walls.
Uh-oh.
For not for 395 points of damage. That's how many HP the wall has remaining out of its 500 hit points. With that, Bope, we'll kick off next week with you at the top of initiative, because I think that's a good time to stop for the evening as we begin to defend the walls, the city of Brindol.
Oh, Brindle!
Oh, Brindol!
I can 100%
Breathe.
see the cutoff scene being Rinyan like.
Slowly falling
Slow-mo
for a
charge.
week.
That's no moon. It's a mace.
Well done.
It's a moon mace.
The Nimbus have entered the field.
So we'll stop there on a cliffhanger this week with some quick reminders and things, and then we will raid a friend. Corey?
Yes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free and it helps us out. We post videos very quickly of all our stream shows. So please like and subscribe. Give us some comments. Help us get the word out about our shows. It helps us grow. It helps us put out more content for y'all to watch.
And it was mentioned earlier by one of our, by Tulian, one of our new followers. But big thanks to tabletopaudio.com for providing the music, ambiance, and sound effects that we use in our live play shows here at the Games Tavern. You can use Tabletop Audio in your own campaigns by going to tabletopaudio.com and choosing from over 240 music and ambiance tracks. We think so highly of tabletopaudio.com. We are supporters. You should be supporters as well. Thanks, everyone. It was a good night. We appreciated everything. It's
thanks for
only
joining.
going to get more insane from here on out, so don't miss next week.
Woo!
We'll see you all then.
Yeah, meat grinder. Woo!
Good
Good
night.
dreams.
Bye, folks.